I think we're live. We're live. Look at that. We're here. We're here, guys. Your boy King Jiffy Coates is back with another one. We got a few different things going on today. This one might be a little long for tonight. What am I looking at time-wise? 6:44. I don't know. We might not get to that one. But I do have a few that I wanted to get to. So, we all know that BioWare's been having some issues. BioWare's been in big trouble ever since they released that garbage trash game that is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of a nuanced take here. I'm going to get a little bit wacky and wild. The game didn't just release, or didn't just fail because it was woke. Like, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, like, obviously the hyper-political writing did not help it, right? Did not help it. But I also think that there's a huge misunderstanding of what made RPGs good in the past and what games are doing now to kind of take away from that. It has kind of moved away from, especially with a lot of like modern RPGs, has moved away from player choice and player expression to we're going to do whatever we want and force it down your throat, right? A great example of something that didn't do this, which I have a huge issue with any of the morons in the gaming sphere who called Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 woke. You're idiots. You're dumb. You're absolutely a moron. The game rewards player choice and player expression. If you want to be gay, you can be gay. Wow, what a shocker. We're getting in some real crazy grounds here where we're doing wild and wacky things. But I think if the game's narrative is built around bad dialogue, forcing you to have to deal with characters that are insufferable, and that I heard from what I've seen, Toph was an insufferable character, on top of the fact that it was just forced political messaging. When all that stuff feels like it is a necessary, hard-hitting part of the story, and there is no avoiding it in an RPG, and you really can't clap back, it feels like it's limiting expression in order to pass a message. And that's where I have a problem, because it doesn't feel like a video game anymore. It feels like a lecture. And I think that's where I will always disagree with the go woke, go broke guys, is I think the writing and the player expression is where a lot of the falters are falling, because if you just make a good game, at the end of the day, people will come and play your game. But if you try to force a game on people, they don't want to play it.
This guy Mark Dara made a video complaining about gamers. Mark Dara, an ex-dev from BioWare. And what's even more hilarious is how he's getting all upset in the comments of that video, which we're definitely going to be taking a look at. He's like rage responding to people. It's great entertainment for us. First, a little more info on Mark Dara. So yeah, once again, this guy is an ex-dev for BioWare, although apparently he was brought back to do some consulting on Veilguard, some people are saying. If that's true, that's hilarious. What we do know, however, is that he was at the very least attempting to prop up and defend Veilguard. For example, Rock, Paper, Shotgun here as a headline. BioWare's Mark Dara thinks Veilguard's the first Dragon Age where the combat's actually fun. What I see in Veilguard is a game.
You know, I did hear that. So I know some people had problems with the combat, but because it felt almost grindy because of the fact that it feels like it was supposed to be a multiplayer game. It's kind of along the lines of what I've heard about Avowed. Now, what cut me off on Avowed wasn't the fact that it was like the dev came out and said stupid stuff. I have said a million times on this channel that there is nothing pre a game launching that will stop me from making it an opinion on that game. Now, if a game releases and I see a bunch of videos and I see a bunch of clips and it's all cringe, all garbage, I'm not going to spend my money on it. There's too many. It starts like I can ignore the canary in a coal mine because that motherfucker might just be trapped and flapping its wings, right? But if I'm looking down into the coal mine and there's literal rocks falling on people, I'm not wasting my money on it. And I feel like with Dragon Age Veilguard, there was definitely rocks falling on it, but I feel like with Avowed, what I've seen so far, and I haven't played it yet, I need to download it on my Xbox, but I really don't have room on my Xbox, and I have so many other games I gotta play. Anyways, getting back to the point at hand, the combat looks fun in that game. But one of the huge critiques I have heard is the leveling mechanic in the game almost feels like a multiplayer game, which means that each new area you feel outspec. You don't feel like you're ever like ahead or do that RPG moment where you're like, oh, I'm cooking everything in here. It's like you're always behind, which is more of like an MMO type tactic. It's what I had an issue with Diablo 4, and I feel like when you build a game, even if you build a game around it initially to be multiplayer and then you cut it back to single player, you have to think about how you have to make those tweaks that are very important, because even if your core combat is fun, there's going to be a vibe where halfway through the game you're going to be, oh yeah, this was a multiplayer game, and that's not something you want to be thinking about.
That finally bridges the gap. Oh, and you know what? Here's some more information on the whole Veilguard consulting thing. Games Radar had wrote, former Dragon Age boss now consulting on the Veilguard. No way. Says the RPG really is the best Dragon Age game that I've ever played. Yeah, so that's the sort of dude we're talking about.
Dude, that's just well, that's kind of like a cope. I hate when somebody who worked for a company or still slightly works for a company is out there just glazing and not being like true and honest self. And I mean, maybe he actually has this opinion, but from what I've heard about the story, like the big choices you can make in Veilguard, they're not great. Yeah, I feel like, from what I heard, is the RPG mechanics of Dragon Age of Veilguard are absolutely atrocious, along with the art style. Because art style, it looks, I don't know what it is about everything coming out on Unreal Engine 5, but it just looks like bad Fortnite, and I'm not about that. But when you cut the RPG mechanics, people aren't playing this to play a hack and slash game. I'm sorry. People play these RPGs because they want to get into a world. They want to have meaningful choices. They want the game. They want to graft the game around themselves and their personal choices throughout the story. Now, what like joining different groups and factions, that's the same thing, but joining different factions and making your own story, that's part of what makes an RPG great. I mean, not all RPGs do the multiple different stories, multiple different endings throughout always, but usually there's a lot of big choices in between, and I feel like a lot of modern RPGs are kind of moving away from this, and I hate that.
Subtext reading. Mark Dara has high praise for BioWare's latest. And apparently this dude is a BioWare veteran. How can this dude just like tarnish BioWare's legacy like this? Oh, it's the best Dragon Age game ever. It's so great. To BioWare's credit, they did used to make good games. The frick is this guy doing? Acting like, oh, Veilguard's the best EA game. BioWare's better than ever. Dudes like this are just complete sellouts. Trying to sell out to the modern audience corpos out there and all that. Yeah, it's pathetic. So that takes us to the current news with this guy. PC Gamer making this tweet that says, BioWare veteran calls out the cruelty of fans celebrating layoffs, saying,
so here's the thing, I've never celebrated layoffs, right? There has been times where I have came out and I've said things kind of in a regard that makes it seem like I'm like rooting for layoffs, and I'm not. I'm saying like I understand them. I can understand them. When Arcane Austin was shut down, take that for example, I understood why they were shut down. A lot of people were up in arms and so mad because they were the people that made Prey 2017, and they worked alongside Arcane Leon for all of those other Dishonored games, and then they made one of the Dishonored games themselves. And it's like, yeah, but that entire team had basically moved on to different studios. They went and worked on Weird West and a bunch of other things. I know some went to Weird West studio. I can't remember what the studio is off the top of my head. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. But then some others went to other places, and it was basically just a skeleton crew of what they used to have. And I think what happened, now I'm not like an analyst or anything, but using a little bit of deductive reasoning, considering they all left after Prey 2017, and the game that was then started after Prey 2017 was Redfall, was Bethesda's push into multiplayer games and forcing everything to be multiplayer. A lot of them saw the writing on the wall of, this is what the studio's gonna, or this is what they're gonna force us to do. I'm out. I don't feel like my hands are creatively tied. They forced us to name the game Prey so they could ruin our game, basically, because I don't think I would have had a difference of opinion on Prey because I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's good. I'm just not in love with it. I think that it does some things well and other things really, really bad. But as a game by itself, I think it's a quality game, but I think it also was hampered by the fact that it was called Prey. I think there is a lot of pushback and vitriol that game gets, undeservedly so, because it has the Prey name attached to it. And I think a lot of people took issue with that and left Arcane Austin. And when Redfall came out and it was a total clusterfuck, it was AIDS Dragon asshole juice. That's not something. If I'm a big company and I know that I need to make cuts in order to keep the money where we're still making money, I'm going to be looking at a studio like Arcane Austin and say, do we need them? Are they necessary, or have they proved that they can't do it? And that was the choice the company made. Now I can understand it. I can logisticize it in my own. I'm just making up words now, or fucking up words in my own mind, to say I understand the steps and the choices that were made to making that. Now something like Tango, I really don't get it. I know that Hi-Fi Rush didn't sell incredibly great, but I mean, it was a niche title. I don't understand why Tango was shut down, why their doors were closed. It makes no fucking sense to me. And a lot of these choices don't always make sense to me, but like when you release a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard, I'm bringing it back. When you release a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard and it is as absolutely terrible, where almost everyone, even people that were vehemently defending it, went into the game and had to admit that the game was just fucking mid. It was terrible. So when you have something like that, you have to look, okay, where are the choices that were made? Who were the creative people that were the heads of this? Why were these decisions made? You guys aren't bringing money to the company, so we're going to lay you off. And if you're a good enough developer, you will get another job somewhere else that will give you more freedom. And I think that's one of the reasons why the indie scene is blowing up right now, is because these overblown studios are having these issues where they're putting out bullshit shit games and just expecting everybody to suck them down. And then gaming media comes in, fucking writes 800 articles about how you're the raw problem with why this is happening. It's your fault. You should have to buy the game. You should have to support these studios. Otherwise, these people are going to lose their job. And that's a lot to put on a consumer.
You are crossing a line, and you're probably attacking the wrong person anyway. The source for this quote is, as mentioned, a video he made, which is on his channel, and we're going to take a look at a portion of that video. I've already watched the full thing twice myself, and I'm just going to summarize the great majority of the video, which is simply that the middle part of the video, he's essentially just making excuses for bad game devs. And the latter part of the video, he's essentially trying to dictate who gamers are allowed to criticize and who they're not allowed to criticize. There's also a prevalent recurring theme in his video, which is he doesn't actually use the word criticize. He doesn't want to admit that gamers have fair critiques for these corporations and these devs. No, instead he phrases it specifically as gamers attacking and complaining. And I don't think that's coincidence. I think there's one of two things going on here. Either he's intentionally phrasing it that way, or he's subconsciously phrasing it that way. Either thing leading to the conclusion that he clearly doesn't think gamers are really valid to criticize these corpos, and he's just trying to play cover for them. But yeah, that's not going well, because gamers are seeing right through his nonsense and calling him out, which, as mentioned, he's getting upset about in his own comment section. All that said, now I'm going to play a portion of his video for you, because
be aware that this is him reiterating what was said in this video. This is not the guy himself saying it, so you got to take everything he's saying with a grain of salt. I'm not just gonna believe everything he says at face value, because I think that's a thing that a lot of people do. But let's say for sake of argument that he is. And I mean, this is the problem I have seen other game outlets do. I've seen developers do, where they put all the fault on the consumer, on gamers. They make blanket terms. They fault things like culture war and all this other stuff, when in reality, if your game ends up not being BS, people will call those weird grifter people out. I mean, I was vehemently right there, standing there, making fun of Andy Pants Gaming when he did the Indiana Jones thing. I did not like that he was calling Indiana Jones going to be woke before the game even released. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was cringe. I thought there was no basis for it. There was nothing we had seen other than one dev look kind of cringy. Like, we're gonna make decisions off of that one dev? No. And I think that there is an issue, though, where after a game releases and then they get pushed back, they lump everyone into, oh, well, it's just these woke grifter grums type guys. It's just these alt-right guys. And that's such a disingenuous, and it's always like, oh, gamers are the problem. No, dude, that's your fucking, those are the people you're selling to. You need to realize that. You can villainize them all day long, but all that's going to do is ruin your bottom line, and your game's going to flop. You have to realize that these are the people that are buying your shit. That's why the Bud Light thing works so well. Now, the whole Bud Light thing to me was incredibly cringe, but it worked because who the fuck's buying Bud Light, right? It's not your posh, it's not your poshy fucking leftist guy, right? I don't know if I know a lot of people that are on the left, a lot of people on the right, and I can tell you right now, the people that are drinking like your fucking IPAs and shit, those are gonna be like your left-wing guys, right? I don't know why they fucking like their IPAs, dude, and there's nothing for that, but they're more about that handcrafted care type shit. Your right-wing guy just wants to fucking drink a beer and go fish, right? Now, the other guys like fishing too, but it's not, I'm not like trying to generalize people, just in my experience, right? So when you look at like the entirety of your buying base and you say you're the problem, you're the issue, they're gonna get pissed. They're not gonna buy your shit, and then you're going to lose employees, you're going to lose funding, you're not gonna be able to afford a lot of this shit, and it's just plain common sense to me.
While I could summarize this part too, it's just especially amusing what he says here, so enjoy.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game. Now I'm going to be...
And I want to be real. If I'm going to be charitable to this guy, I want you to know, if you buy something, right? If you buy something and you see somebody on Twitter who worked on the game, that doesn't mean go fucking make fun of them and be a dick to them. I see this all the time, this vitriol used to, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to get this guy. And I see it even with people, person to person. And that's kind of why I don't, some people might say I ride the fence or whatever. I don't really give a shit what you think about me. I'm just giving you my perspective, but I don't think you should harass anybody. If they're out there making actual like gross statements, right? If they're saying this group of people is disgusting and foul and lesser and I don't want you to buy our game, highlighting that, screenshotting that, and highlighting that as an example of why your game failed is one thing, but utilizing it to start a hate campaign against that person, I think is never okay. I don't like hate campaigns against people. I think I do think when you're utilizing your social media and utilizing the fact that you work for a company and advertising your game, but also making statements that are kind of vitriolic toward your a big portion of your buying audience, you're not asking for it, but you're kind of welcoming it in. I know this because I'm a creator on YouTube, right? I'm a Jizz Falcon that sucks up all the drama, sucks up all the tea, baby. And I know that one day that people are going to clip me up, throw me on the internet, and I just have to deal with that. I gotta roll with the punches. That's just how things are. And when you buy a game, you have every right to say anything you want to say about that. I want that to be known. I wanted to cover the fact that you shouldn't harass people, but also you should have every freedom to say everything you want about that game. Be as angry about that game as you want. It is your money. They sold you a product. Now you can give your opinion on the product, whether they like that opinion or not. If you can be as vile as you want about saying how fucking terrible that product is, because it's your money, it's your opinion, and they can't take that from you. No one can take that from you.
Clear about something. I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought. You can have whatever opinion that you feel like towards a game. Even if that opinion is stupid and wrong, you are entitled to that opinion. And to some degree...
I mean, this is a thing where I disagree with a lot of people where they say that you can have a wrong opinion. I mean, it was a long time before I could make the thing where somebody's like, no one can have a wrong opinion. And I think there is an extent where that is true. Like, oh, well, I think grass is green. Well, that's just factually incorrect. Well, it's my opinion that the grass is blue. I mean, that's what it's my opinion that grass is blue. Obviously, that is 100% false. And if you're making up absolute bullshit about a game and saying it can't do this, or being disingenuous of the fact that it definitely is fine, and you don't like it because console wars or some shit. Yeah, there can be wrong opinions, but for the most part, a lot of times now is they like to lump in everything that's like a big discontent, where it's like, well, we don't have any problem with like a character being whatever. We don't care if a character's anything. It's just write them well, and if I don't want to deal with that character, don't force that character on me. And that can be considered a wrong opinion, and I don't think that it should be up to a developer to tell me that when we're buying their product. For me, that's just going to show me that I won't buy their products again. It's along the lines of Assassin's Creed, whatever the Japanese Assassin's Creed is. I didn't give a shit about that game when it was announced because I'm done with Ubisoft. After what they did to Tom Clancy as an IP, after Tom Clancy died, they basically walked over to his grave, had an entire circle jerk on his grave, and said, "We're gonna do whatever the fuck we want with your name." And I've had a problem with Ubisoft games ever since. They disrespect Tom Clancy at a level that no writer should be disrespected. I think it's egregious, and I think it's disgusting. It started with Rainbow Six Siege. Now, you might like Rainbow Six Siege, say it's really tactical, and tactical is Tom Clancy. Well, you also have to remember Tom Clancy was a storyteller, and where's the story in Rainbow Six Siege? The fact that that game never had a campaign will be, to me, is a critique on the fact that they're utilizing Tom Clancy's name. They could have just called it Siege, because when the game released, they didn't have characters from the other Tom Clancy games. It just had all these generic fucking SWAT guys. So I think that I didn't care about whatever that Assassin's Creed Japan game is, because I feel like Ubisoft has proved time and time again they do not give a shit what you think, and they're going to continue it not giving a shit what you think. And I think the reason why they did the game the way they did was, one, to get brownie points from a certain group, and to rile up the other group to get free publicity for the game. I think they're playing you idiots like goddamn monkeys, knowing that one side will be yelling and screeching and raying, the other side will be snapping and yes queening, and you guys will be arguing over nothing. Fucking nothing. Because then you're going to buy a worse version of a game that already exists, which is whatever the fucking PlayStation version is. What is that game called? I don't know. You have to let me know in the comments. I drew a blank. But whatever that Ghost of Tsushima. You're getting a fucking worse version of Ghost of Tsushima is what you're going to get with Assassin's Creed fucking Japan.
You're entitled to express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought. You paid $70 of your own dollars for this game, and it disappointed you, and you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about it, and you're entitled to express that anger in certain channels. If you are mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft. Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game. But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it. So why am I saying you don't get to be cruel because you spent $70? Let's walk through it. One, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't like.
Okay, so
now here's the thing. I do agree with almost every single statement he made there. I actually agree. I don't have any real gripes. Now, I think what has been considered cruelty in the modern era has been stretched a lot to just kind of an all-encompassing like blanket term to be like, oh well, he's being mean because I made the game and they saw me say something political, so they're blasting me on the internet and that's being cruel, or it's a hate campaign, or I'm only getting this because of this group. And I think that's a different definition of cruel. But in the general sense, I don't think you should be going after, like, hunting down every single dev and blowing up their social medias, trying to tell them how shitty the game is. I think that you can have a discourse, you can have an understanding, you can talk about the product, say this is bad, this is cringe. Do you see this dialogue? This is fucking bullshit. I don't care if you're non-binary or whatever. You're a dick to every single other party member in the crew. Toph was just a dick to everybody. Toph was an insufferable character. But you look at, like, all the other factors, right? And you can have these criticisms, you can have these critiques, but hunting down every dev, and then that's just some spurg behavior. I mean, that's the same thing whenever I cover Hassan Piker. I get people that go into my Discord that then make it like kind of an unfun place for my community, and I don't like when people do that, and I don't like the idea of people going out of their way to be vitriolic and to, oh, well, I'm gonna one up the other guy, and you see it on both sides continuously and insufferably. And I think that there needs to be an understanding of, like, in like all of this thing, that rag on the game as much as you want, talk, or like blast it as much as you want, but hunting down all the devs and then talking shit about them, it's kind of cringe. It's kind of cringe unless they're doing something to provoke it. If they're out there calling everybody homophobic or something because they didn't like Toph, or Toe, or whatever fucking their fucking name is, if they're out there calling, like, throwing attacks, it's like, well, yeah, it's okay to say something back to, but don't be out there be like, oh, you fucking bitch, you whore. Because again, if you're doing this shit and it's all over like Twitter or whatever, like, even if you think that you're joking, it's not going to come across great. Now, you're free to do whatever the fuck you want. I'm just saying my personal views on it, because freedom of speech does exist. You can be a dickhead as much as you want. There is nothing I can do to stop you or anybody else, and I'm not going to advocate for you to stop. I'm just saying, I think that the more rational thing to do is to have an actual conversation about it. Say, hey, this is what's going on. I would suggest maybe not buying any EA games for a while, or any BioWare games for a while, if these are the people they hire. And after a while of them not selling games, they'll get the point. They'll get the point if people just don't buy their slop, because eventually they will get fired, somebody else will take the reins, and the world will heal itself.
Oh, yeah, cruel. He goes off about being cruel and never really defines what he means by cruel. Chances are that's something he would use to fit his own meaning whenever it's convenient for him to defend corpos. And okay, here's a question, bruh. Why do these giant corporations get to be cruel to gamers? Trying to take our money, charge us $70 for their AAA slop, oftentimes promising features that are not even there, and releasing games that are far too buggy than they should be at release. Sometimes essentially using players as their own beta testers without properly disclosing that that's even what they're doing. It's an extremely shady and corrupt industry. You don't see this guy advocating for gamers to get refunds on these slop games. No, instead he's just trying to dictate how gamers are allowed to respond when these corporations try and swindle people out of their money. And of course I understand that they're not literally forcing someone to buy their game. They don't, like, threaten them to buy the game or else. But as mentioned, a lot of the time these corporations are very dishonest in how
I do feel like this is kind of a disingenuous argument. We'll go back to this one time, but I just feel like he's adding a lot, and that's kind of what you do. This isn't against a YouTuber. I just feel, one, I don't like when people, I do agree with defending the corporation, but I just feel like he's pulling the argument in another direction to fit his narrative.
On these slop games. No, instead he's just trying to dictate how gamers are allowed to respond when these corporations try and swindle people out of their money. And of course I understand that they're not literally forcing someone to buy their game. They don't, like, threaten them to corpos. And okay, here's a question, bruh. Why do these giant corporations get to be cruel to gamers? Trying to take our money, charge us $70 for their AAA slop, oftentimes promising features that are not even there, and releasing games that are far too buggy than they should be at release. Sometimes essentially using players as their own beta testers without properly disclosing that that's even what they're doing. It's an extremely shady and corrupt industry. You don't see this guy advocating for gamers to get refunds on these slop games. dishonest. And
so here's the argument kind of lands, and I understand where he's coming from. Again, I think that does go to an idea that it's like, why are we getting charged $70 for a game? Well, once the industry standards set in, that it was like, oh well, we got these games, it's quality. We are jumping the price up to $70, but look at what the graphics are doing. Look what the gameplay is doing. Look what all this other stuff's doing. And then the rest of the industry took notice that, oh, we're allowed to charge $70 now. So all of these games that were half-baked, scrapped it and redrafted and are way blown out past their budgets should have been. Now they're trying to flip the mistakes over onto the gamer and try to make up whatever costs they can. And I do think that's very disingenuous. But that doesn't mean you can go out of your way and harass people. Now, again, I don't know if he was talking about harassment or just like what criticism he deems acceptable, because I mean, I've seen people like David Jaffe, he's an ex-developer, he made God of War, and he likes to try to put in a box what you're allowed to criticize about a game. Well, you can't criticize it because of forced LGBT stuff. Well, you can criticize it for bad dialogue, but you can't criticize it for forced political messaging. And it's like, well, no, I can criticize it however the fuck I want. I think by being vague, he covered his ass there, and all of this argument's going to make you look bad now, because there's really without me having seen his video, which I haven't seen the full thing, I'm just reacting to this, I can't make an actual description of what he meant there. But I do think that the industry does need to take note and realize that if you have a game that you're just trying to piece together with semen and fucking tears, you shouldn't be able to charge $70 for it. And I think we need to hold these studios accountable for that, because that is a huge issue. We've had two games in the last year and a half, Avowed and Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now I hear Avowed's much better, but the idea that they were these multiplayer games that were kind of scrapped and then re-shoved together with fucking like menstruating juices and tampons to be shoved out the door, I mean, it's going to come off, and we're going to see it as gamers. We're going to see that you're selling us a fucking pieced-together bullshit product, even if it runs smoothly. It's going to feel fucking weird.
How they're presenting their game as if it's a complete product, when a lot of the time these AAA games really aren't.
If you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad, and hopefully you can grow beyond that. But I will give you a couple of outlets. If you need to complain at a human being, I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits.
Yes, the complaining police over here. Oh, you don't get to do this. You can only do that.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that you can tell somebody who they can't criticize. I mean, if an art the thing that happened with Avowed was an art director, the art director or the creative lead for one or something like that came out and was just vitriolic and wanted to get Elon Musk on the radar to piss off Elon Musk and Grums. If that person is doing this thing, he's not going to be the first name, or she isn't going to be the first name on the credits, and so you can't criticize them. It's one of those things, like, you can't tell. You think like making this, it's like how I would have phrased that would have been, I personally don't like when people like attack everybody who worked on the game. If you have problems and you see one of the employees who are out there wilding out like a motherfucker, talk at the main developer, then complain at the main developer, the game director. Complain at him, and maybe then something will happen. I think that would have been a better way to word that argument. But just to tell people what they can and can't do is always going to put people on the defensive. It's always going to make people be back here with the whole fighting stance, bro. They're fucking knuckling and cluckling, and they don't want to fuck around.
And an important thing to take note of is how he's not providing any examples. Like, what is he even specifically talking about here? I don't generally see gamers going after like specific people who worked on a game unless those people went out of their way to attack gamers first. For example, we have seen devs at certain...
And I would agree. I did say this. I would 100% agree that a lot of times it boils down to developers are out there fucking wilding and being fucking dickheads, and then wondering why they're getting attacked. They're getting attacked. Well, violence begets violence almost always. So If you're out there being a douchebag, you're going to get douchebag behavior back.
Companies, certain devs, literally making inflammatory statements that target gamers with hostility, in which case, obviously, yeah, the gamers that see that may very well respond to it, and they're allowed to do that. Or in other circumstances, when we've seen devs, for example, some of the Veilguard devs, who very obviously put in, like, self-insert slop into the game, which we also directly see negatively impacted the game. Yeah, people are allowed to criticize those choices and the people who made them. Just because you're a game dev doesn't mean you're free from criticism and, oh, you can't criticize me. You can only criticize the first name in the credits.
Be a human being, have some empathy, and stop being cruel. Stop throwing a party because a bunch of people lost their jobs. Because you don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. People deserve.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you have a game that that took as long in development as Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and then it fucking clusterfuck blows its load and does nothing. It just blows its load and it lands right on the floor. It's not creating any babies. It's not creating dividends. So what is EA gonna do? EA is gonna look at this game that was massively over budgeted, that's been through a bunch of reworks, and they're like, "Fuck. Well, look at this. Look at we fiddly fucked, and we need to downsize." That's what's gonna happen. And when you have a bunch of oversized studios that that are producing games below a quality standard that sells, that's what happens. I mean, do I think that you should be out there celebrating it? No. But again, me even saying this, he might be consider celebrating it when I'm just making logical conclusions.
Some grace. People deserve some empathy from you, and if you can't provide that, then stay off the internet completely.
Yeah, the lack of self-awareness with this guy, man, is pretty astonishing. Telling us to stay off the internet, that's what he should be doing, really. Like, he's just making terrible points and making himself look like a fool. And again, like I mentioned multiple times, it only gets worse in his own comment section. We're almost there, by the way. And there's 2 more points I'll bring up really quick. It shouldn't be surprising when people celebrate some of these companies going through layoffs after these companies have been very predatory towards gamers, and or they have people working at those companies that have made public statements showing hostility to gamers. Quite literally, you can argue that with these companies going through layoffs, the industry is actually healing. The final point is that it comes off really hollow when he's pretending to care about people that get laid off. He's unwilling to criticize the devs who are factually bringing these studios down, which very well may result in a game underperforming and then everyone getting laid off. And I'm using everyone a bit facetiously here, but you know, a massive number of people.
And I've said this in the past, I actually want to piggyback off that I know I paused a lot and I've rambled a lot in this breakdown, but there's something that I think does need to be said, and I think every studio out there needs to have a conversation with the people that work there. If let's say I was making a game, right? I was making a game, and I decided that to hire somebody on, and that person went on and said, I don't know, fucking Nancy Pelosi is a dirty whore, or fucking Donald Trump is a fucking dirty whore, right? I would instantly go to that person and say, the fuck did you do that? Why the fuck did you do that? Delete it, apologize. Now, you might be saying, well, that seems pretty cruel. It's their own personal thing. Well, if they have my fucking game studio in their bio and they talk about my game constantly, I do not want them putting half of my buying base on blast. Whether it's the left or the right, I don't want them being put on blast, because at the end of the day, those are the people that are going to give me money. And I want to put in, like, if it's just an FPS game where I'm, like, a single player, very narrative, single story, and this is the story, cool. Like, that's fine. I think that you can make whatever game you want, say that this is what the game's going to be unapologetic about it, say this is what it's going to be, but don't be vitriolic about it. Say this game's going to be centered around LGBT, right? I mean, it's like if you go to buy a Postal game, you're not going to tell them that, oh, well, this game's offensive. Well, no shit. It's just not for you. And some games aren't for you. They're not made to be for everyone, not every game. But when you have these massive RPGs that the studios dump tons and tons and tons of money on, and that it's supposed to be the next big thing, they're trying to market that to everyone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on it.
he really didn't want layoffs to happen, then he shouldn't be upset when gamers find people responsible for dragging these games down and then criticizing the bad work that they do. That bad work can directly lead to the game underperforming and then, surprise, layoffs. But nah, instead he's ardently defending these people for some reason. Anyways, let me know what you think about that stuff. Now onto the comments. A top comment reads, "A simple bill of $70 gives me the right to critique a product." And Mark responds with this really weird comment that says, "Watch the video, dislike something, express that dislike to the studio, but why are you crawling into someone's personal social media feed? If you need a human, look at the first few names in the credits." We can
I mean, again, I think that he is valid in with at face value. At face value, that is a good argument. If you go a little bit deeper and see some of the stuff we've seen with people weaponizing their social media to then push their views out there and kind of be vitriolic, they do deserve criticism. Now, I don't want you to just find somebody that has their fucking pronouns in their bio and, well, they got pronouns, so they're the ones that ruined Dragon Age, so I'm going to harass them. That makes you kind of look like a piece of shit. I'm sorry. If they're not out there actively being an asshole to start with, then don't fucking bother them. They're just living their life. And I think that a lot of this is people, once the $70 thing went in and studios started putting out middling products and then just expecting you to not criticize them, and then you open up your phone every day while you're sitting on the shitter and you see article after article after article after article condemning you as the consumer and how the game shouldn't have failed, and it's not the studio's fault. It is the studio's fault. There's one person, or there's a group of people to blame when a game does bad. It is almost 9 times out of 10. I'm saying 9 times out of 10 because there's 1% of the time when it's like EA, it's the publisher the game. It's usually the publisher is the 1% of the time where it wasn't marketed well, is that a lot of people didn't know. Usually the marketing is a big problem where it just wasn't marketed well and people don't know about it, and if you don't know about it, you're not gonna buy it. And then on top of that, there's also like where they force weird shit on a game where it isn't the studio's fault, but at the same time it still can be put down on the studio. Like with Arcane Austin, they were told that they had to make a multiplayer game, right, or a game with co-op capabilities, and then they had kind of creative control after that point. They decided to go with the vampire thing, and the game was creatively bankrupt. It had nothing going for it. So therefore you can look at the creative team behind all that and say, I mean, the gameplay's fine, the stuff you were only forced to make it co-op, but you didn't even create something interesting. So why would I keep you on as a creative lead? And I think that is 100% a criticism, and I think that a lot of the devs nowadays and these bigger development companies for these corporations get this pass where the media will carry their water, and then it kind of goes into, well, who do we blame for this game being bad? Well, we blame the audience. We blame the people who spent the money on it, which is going to make them hate you more.
can then see a user questioning how Mark knows that person is even doing what he's accusing him of, to which someone else points out that he really doesn't. As it turns out, that comment that Mark left is one that he's been copy-pasting all over the comment section. I find this particularly amusing because he tries—
Wait, see, but this is the same question. I understand why you copied and pasted. You bought a $70 game and you can't blame us but we can blame you gamers. I mean, it is a differently worded question, but it's very similar, and I would be annoyed in copy and paste. I don't copy and paste my comments back, but I mean, I think studios need to take more accountability. 100%. They need to. I saw this really bad with Immortals of Avion, where they were just like, well, it's the industry's fault. It's this fault, dude. No, it was your fucking fault because the game sucked. But him copy and pasting, this is a nothing burger.
Tries to say to act like a human being in his video, but he comes off like some kind of robot. Like it comes
valid hypocrisy.
Comes off very fake. And then he's just copy-pasting slop in the comment section. I think this guy should take his own advice. Like, bro, try and act like a human instead of a bot. Oh, look, here's a comment he left that's actually not just a copy-paste. This user said,
"You have never once called out your colleagues for their cruelty." Nope. See, this makes you look like a complete fucking asshole and the whole video looked like a joke. I was gonna go watch the video, but you should call out your colleagues if they're being disgusting. You should. I mean, if you have a critique with them, now I'm not saying put them on blast and fucking drag them through the mud, but I'm saying if you see somebody out there, right, and you work with them, and like I said with the whole Nancy Pelosi being a dirty whore or Trump being a dirty whore, and they said that, and I would go to them, I would first say on social media, I would be like, I would like quote tweet this and say, this person works for me, but this is not the views of the entire company. There will be a conversation, and they would then post an apology or lose their job, because it is the buyer base. That is, I don't want to lose half my buyer base. I don't care if it's left wing or right wing. I don't want to lose that buyer base. And I think that there needs to be more criticisms being levied against the people you work with. I think the industry needs to stop glazing itself and fucking having people out there like Greg Miller who are just willing to allow anything that is the popular narrative and whatever the mainstream gaming media says, that then hold water for these bad companies. I don't like that. I think that the media needs to be the most critical of these companies instead of being critical of games that are like that are huge successes like Black Myth Wukong or now I have seen the media kind of turn in the favor of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is awesome because they condemned the first game for no fucking reason whatsoever. But you see like some of these games that are successful that deserve their success because they appealed to the entire gaming base. But oh no, we want this game that fucking failed that nobody liked to be a 9 out of 10. We want to bolster this one. You guys are assholes for not buying this one, and it just makes me question where your ethics are and if you're getting paid off. Now I'm not saying that they are getting paid off, but it feels that way. It feels disingenuous whenever a game like Immortals of Avion, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Avowed is doing okay. So like Avowed I think has enough good combat going for it that people are overlooking how shitty of an RPG it is. But you see that the mainstream is carrying the water for these things when they should be looking internally like, what did we do wrong?
You have never once called out your colleagues for their cruelty. And Mark says, nope. Yeah, it's not a copy paste, but it's still definitely not helping his case. This user says, studios attack the gamers. Gamers retaliate. Studios shocked Pikachu face. And Mark Dara's back with his copy-paste nonsense. We can see
that was actually a funny comment, dude. I mean, that was just good. I like when people put the meme in, and usually I will, even if somebody disagrees with me and they put something funny, I will comment back. I had somebody recently say that like one of my videos was none of my points were good, right? And I was like, which points? And they just put a timestamp at the beginning of the video and the end of the video, and I was like, you got me there, dude. That was funny. That was fucking funny, dude. When somebody says something kind of funny, I try to look at all the comments, even if they're angry, as kind of a funny thing. They're all funny. It's all fun. I do this for fun. And it's like this guy's just kind of botting his way through it because he's being big mad soy bitch. I mean, this is just pathetic. Copying and pasting on every single one. The first two examples were terrible because it was basically the same question. But I mean, this is a don't ask questions, just consume product and wait for next product and being upset about it. I mean, that's kind of the vibe we're getting lately.
See another example of that right here, where this person says, quote unquote, don't ask questions, just consume product and wait for next product. And there's Mark's typical copy paste response. There's plenty more examples of him doing this, but I'm sure you get the point. Interestingly enough, this comment reads, you know what, credit where credit's due. The comment section is not turned off. And Mark says, not yet.
Oh, dude, what a bitch. If he turns the comment section off, anybody who turns their comment section off and is, that shows that you cannot handle criticism. And that makes every single argument that I gave him credit for like not credit, but I gave him a lead. I gave him this long this long brief of space to just roam and play in where I was being generous. It all becomes disingenuous because you're considering any sort of critique an attack, and critiques are not attacks. You know, if you say, well, I didn't like this game because of this, and they're like, why are you attacking the game? It's like, well, I wasn't. You're just being defensive for no reason.
All this goes back to what I said earlier about how I don't think this guy genuinely does care about the industry. He seems intent on defending certain people from criticism. I think we all know who those certain people probably are. Because even just taking a look at his video and his actions in the comment section, he's only giving gamers even more reasons to despise the AAA industry. Lastly, let's take a look at this exchange where a user says, I guess devs can be cruel for years, and the second it happens back to them, the gamers are the bad guys, and the devs are all of a sudden the victim. Right. Mark says, ideally we would see decorum from everyone. But people point out how he doesn't seem to really stand by that at all. The next response saying,
I mean, he did say people, but he did kind of put it back on the audience. And again, expecting all the people to hear, oh, well, humanity and nice, you're fucking talking to the internet. The internet is a mean place. It's always been a mean place. To think that it's not a mean place is kind of way too idealistic. And ideally, in a perfect world, everybody would be nice to each other. But again, that's not how things work.
That was of no priority to you in this video. And indeed, he never mentioned that at all. Instead, he was trying to frame all the critiques from gamers as attacks and unjust complaining, and mentioning nothing of the awful behavior we've seen from numerous devs in the industry. The next response reads, people didn't when it was one-sided for the last decade. Too late to do a 180 and say people should now, when the other side has the upper hand. Western AAA games have been terrible for value for the longest time, and there's no reason to buy them over indie or Eastern developed games. And then this.
So, the indie, or not the indie, the Western developed games thing drives me up a fucking wall. And it's not because I have anything against Asia, well, I mean, Asia obviously encompasses Japan. So China, Japan, all of Asia. I have no problem with that area, right? But I think that there's a huge misunderstanding when people are like, well, they don't put politics in the game. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. It's like when people say that anime is not as political. It's like you don't understand the political structure of another country. I feel the same way when I see somebody from like fucking Switzerland commenting on U.S. politics. It's like, the fuck you know about U.S. politics? You live in Switzerland and you're getting the news like fourth hand, dude. You're getting it from this guy. Oh, now you have the opinion that you should tell Americans how they should live their lives. Go fuck yourself. You don't actually have any understanding of what's going on here because you don't live here. You're not seeing it day to day, and you can comment on it. Sure, I'm not gonna like condemn your freedom of speech, but I'm not gonna take your opinion seriously. It's the same thing when I see people say that, well, Eastern game devs don't want to put this shit in their stuff. And I'm sure that they're putting their own political political ideologies in the games or in the anime that goes against whatever their political system is in Japan or China. Probably not China, because they'll just throw them in a fucking like work camp forever. But in Japan, right? And we don't know what it could be pushing against, or what's a cultural norm that they're speaking out against in these media or these entertainment properties. So whenever they say the Western AAA thing, it's just like, sometimes sure, other times I don't know. But like, there is a big boom in the indie scene that we're seeing that's better than ever before. It's the indie scene's stronger than it ever has been, and it's only getting bigger because people are sick of paying $70 for a game when they can get a game like Turbo Overkill for $20, and it's 10 times what we've seen from the AAA industry.
This response says, so where's your video about game dev cruelty, Mark? Where's your article about that? What a snake. It's much more cruel to be an executive producer who pushes for or allows all the elements that were guaranteed to get everyone working under you laid off. Hey, that's kind of similar to what I mentioned earlier, and how it comes off like Mark is very disingenuous. But continuing, the user says, the team's well-being was your responsibility as far as game production goes. Unless you're telling me that EA was pushing all those undesirable elements, and you'd like to tell us that. But you probably weren't even one to rein your more belligerent coworkers in, let alone keep their sales-killing agendas out of the product. Now what, I'll read one more comment right here, this one that says, realistically, we see attacks from devs. You need to get comfortable with the fact that you're not a victim. All in all, I think the people in the response...
I mean, fair. That comes off assholey. Like, asshole response is gonna get asshole response always. I mean, that's just how it works. It's just how it works. But I mean, there is this idea that you can't criticize devs and that they should be protected all the time, like they're these super special individuals, when you just work for a big company, dog. And when that big company's product doesn't do well and it costs like $100 gajillion to make, that company's going to want to fix their balance somehow, and you're going to be on the chopping block. So when you have people like going out there not criticizing, but attacking half of the country, whether it be left or right, that's gonna look fucking bad, and that they're not gonna want to buy your game because now they're already wary about how they're worried that they're gonna meet a character and that character is gonna be a cartoony representation of what their beliefs are and be overly evil, and they don't want to deal with that when they're fucking getting off work and they worked hard and now they bought something that that was a part of a series that previously wasn't vitriolic toward them. Now they spent $70, which is more than what it cost in the past, to be fucking lectured about how they're a piece of shit. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Onsis did a great job of responding to Mark and pointing out the issues with the pathetic arguments that he attempted to make. Once again, let me know what you think about all of this stuff in the comments here. And if you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate ya. Have a great weekend ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.
And I mean...
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for...
I mean, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I 100%, like... feel he made the video, and there's a lot of this culture war stuff that is very edged in one direction. It's very edged in one direction, like fight against these fucking corporate scumbags. We're sick of being alienated. I'm on the defensive, and that's a lot how a lot of these videos come across. Absolutely. And I think he does a very good job with at least his video quality and his direction that he's going in. His name is, we have another video, Hero High. And this one, I just want to fucking make fun of Hassan when we get to that. But that'll be another day. But here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing when I look at, like, the whole guided direction that it goes in. It's very... I feel like it misses out on that middle ground. I think it misses out on that understanding. And it doesn't hold out that olive branch. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand what's going on here. But what you need, but it doesn't look at the other side of the coin, right? It doesn't see them from their perspective, which, again, it is fair to say that they gave you a bad product, they criticized you. Why can't you criticize them back? When you see interviews where the game, or like they talk to one of the game devs and all they talk about is how evil gamers are, and then that game dev who wasn't even a lead game dev then gets criticized online. Well, that's attacking. Well, that's not attacking, bro. Get your fucking panties pulled out of your little fucking taint wagon and just realize that you criticize somebody's gonna criticize you. And if you're working at a studio and you're the head on a game, you should not want your team to be out there fucking spitting anger against everybody out there, because we've seen a lot of that. And I think that the games media needs to do a better job of holding these studios accountable for their actions. And when there is a game that has a slight, try to put your bias to the wayside and think about it in a more critical sense. Why do you think somebody on this side of the political aisle didn't enjoy it? Well, then ask those questions. Don't you think that by putting some of these lectures in and some of these overly monologue things, I might agree with it, but you do realize that an entire base does not? Do you think that affected your game sales? Asking questions like that, I think, are very important, and we're not seeing from the media. I think it's important when you're a journalist to try to look at every side of the coin, especially when you're going to talk to somebody about it. But that's about all I got on that one today, guys. Alright, we got this video says you're absolutely disgusting from Diesel Patches. We know I love some Diesel Patches. He's one of my favorite commentary YouTubers. I think he's one of the funniest guys out there. He's big gay, but the good kind, other than the cringe kind. The good kind's like, hey, I'm gay, look at that. And then the bad kind's like, that's pretty gay, dog. But anyways, this is called You're Absolutely Disgusting, and let's get into it.
You are so beautiful.
So there's this OF model named Bonnie Blue who is known for sleeping with over 1,000.
I'm gonna be real quick. Dude, she's got so much filler in her face. Anytime somebody has so much filler in their cheekbones that they get like way out here, all I can think about is Tim Curry from that movie where he was the devil. Now, I think it's called Fantasy or Fairy Tale, or I don't remember what it's called, but Tim Curry's a giant devil, and that's all I can think about when I see people with the filler cheekbones.
1,000 guys in 12 hours. I checked out her page, and some of her videos are pretty kinky. My favorite being pussy lip clapping, where her elongated baloney slaps create a rhythmic slapping noise that soothe my urges. Anyways,
let's go, dude. Slippity slap, slap, slap my pussy. Slippity slap, slap, slap it long and clap, clap, clap. I got the clap, clap. I love it, dude. I love it. I mean, this picture doesn't look like she has as much Botox in, but 12 hours and 1,000 guys, dude. That's a lot. That's a lot, dude. And here's the thing. I don't condemn any of these people for doing this. I think you can do whatever you want. You are a grown-up. You can make your adult decisions. But I do think that if you do stuff like this, you do open yourself up for criticism to be like, that is kind of wild because it's going past the norm and you're doing it for attention. You're doing it to be like, I want to be, she talks about in her interviews how she wants to hold the record for the most amount of guys. And it's like, why? Like, you're just want clout. And it's kind of makes me feel the same way as I do about the IRL streamers, only at least she's not breaking laws in other countries, but it is a little weird.
Reason why we're talking about Bonnie Blue today is because she recently faked a pregnancy online. Oh, I'm sorry. According to her, she merely hinted at her possibly being pregnant, so it's okay. And we're all just a bunch of haters for criticizing her. Bonnie created a 15-minute response video that we're going to review today. So let's grab some pop.
Oh, dear God, I didn't know about any of this. I thought he was going to do the typical commentary guy thing where he was just going to criticize her for getting slam damned by a billion guys in 1 minute. But no, dude, that's kind of fucking annoying.
Going for some good old damage control.
So Bonnie, are you pregnant?
I am not pregnant.
Okay, right, yeah.
Statement
over.
I am not pregnant.
I mean, isn't this kind of cringe doing this shit in bed? I remember when, wasn't it, I can't remember the chick's name who did it with Drake. I don't know why you'd want to get in a bed and do a podcast. It's just weird. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me like, why the fuck am I? It's like I'm a kid standing at the foot of the bed, like, "Hey, mommy, oh, daddy, oh, so you guys talking about the bang booms with the genitals?" I don't like it. I don't like it.
Media, I'd say about like a week ago, started like making rumors about me pregnant, and quite a lot of the media approached me and said, "Look, can you add a comment?" And at the time, I was like, "Comment on what?" Because I'm not pregnant. I haven't even hinted at it. Like, nothing has been mentioned. So the last 24 hours, I've hinted at being pregnant. Like, I have never confirmed I was pregnant because I would never, ever lie.
Yeah, where could anyone possibly get the idea that you're pregnant?
So tomorrow I'm going to go take another pregnancy test because, well, I want to know how far along. Just 8 months.
Oh, see, this is where she's just a fucking dirty clout goblin, dude. This is a different type of whore, dude. I don't care if you sleep with a gajillion guys, but if you're out here just like fucking crying, begging for content to the point that you'll go and have a sex with 1,000 guys, right? You go and do this. You want it for the attention, and then you like, oh well, but then people make jokes about what if you get pregnant by one of the guys and you got to figure out which one, and that's funny. Like, could you imagine having that fucking lineup? Like, hey guys, here's the fucking, it's Moist Cradle. Hey guys, today I'm gonna have you swab the inside of your cheek to see which one of your DNA is the right one, and then you get the right one. Let's go, baby. But it's like, that's funny, dude. It's funny to try to, the fact that you have to like put your mind around the fact that what if she didn't take her birth control that day and one of those 1,059 guys or whatever busted in and the condom broke and you don't know which one, and now you gotta swab every fucking cheek. That's kind of funny. But then to take it, it's like, I see this as it's trending. It's a trending meme. I'm going to then hint that I'm pregnant so that I can get more attention because all I care about is attention, but I don't really bring anything quality to the scene.
Time, I'm so excited to do the world's biggest live stream of a birth.
You savages. How dare you accuse me of lying about a pregnancy? I only strongly implied I was with child for clicks. Have you no shame? So, Bonnie claims she lied about being pregnant.
I mean, live streaming a birth would be weird, dude. Why? Here's the thing, dude, and this is where I feel bad for a kid in this situation, and I know this is moral grandstanding or whatever, but like, one of the most special moments in my life was being at the birth of my child, right? It was so meaningful to me. It was just such a special thing, and it was more special the fact that it was like me, my wife, and then my wife's mom, and it was just like this great family moment, you know? It's this moment where I'm holding my daughter, and I don't have to worry about anybody else. I'm just fucking there with what's now one of the most important beings in my entire fucking life. But instead, dude, it would be like somebody standing there with a fucking camera, dude. Just, oh, dude, we get the right kind of pussy shot. Wait, is it crowning right? Is it crowning right? Oh, no, we need you to smile with the baby. That's why I don't like family channels, like, where they put everything that their kid does on display for the world to see. Now, I'll hold my baby when I stream sometimes. It's something I do because, like, if my wife needs to do something, I want to hold my kid because I love my child and I want to spend as much time with her as possible. But I'm never going to have a channel where it's like, watch us go to the fucking park. Ooh, watch my daughter open up this gift. I don't want to, like, build content around her. If she happens to come into the content, it's like, that's like passing. I don't ever want her to be a focal point of what I do because I just don't like it. I've never liked it. I think it's gross.
Strongly hinted she was pregnant for the fans, and we'll find out what that is later in the video, but I do really love the immediate contradiction from Bonnie less than a minute into this.
So the last 24 hours, I've hinted at being pregnant. Like, I have never confirmed I was pregnant because I would never ever lie.
Here, let me help you out. You absolutely lied about being pregnant. No reason to dance around it.
For me, like, back before I was this massive slut, I tried to get pregnant for like a long amount of time, and it was honestly like the most lonely experience because you don't really tell family and friends. It's not something like that's spoken about much. So if I was to have seen someone joking about pregnancy, I wouldn't have seen the funny side of it.
Amazing. All I really have to do is continue to play.
Well, I mean, if she would have, like, doubled down and said I was joking, this was all a bit, I knew it would get me clout, I would have more respect for her. But the fact that she knew that there was a memes building up, she then capitalized on it to get more clout, only to then backtrack on it and say how it's gross to make fun of that stuff. The bitch, what the fuck you talking about? You're speaking out of 8 sides of your face, and you probably didn't even get Botox. All your lies are just shoving up into your cheekbones.
These 2 clips right here to continuously debunk what she's saying. I don't think I'm really even needed here. I also just noticed, why are you guys responding while sitting in bed with blankets covering you? Now, I get it if you're like laying around on the couch or you're both sitting in chairs, but why the bed? I mean, you probably...
Yeah, I said the same thing, dude. We're on the same fucking wavelength. Come on, it's weird, dude. It's fucking weird. I don't like looking at you while you're in bed with somebody just having a conversation, dog. Get in your living room, put a camera on you. It's like, why the fuck are we... Oh, dude, yeah, I kind of faked being pregnant online, but I didn't. I wouldn't lie about that because that's gross. Do you want me to touch you under the sheets? It's weird, dude. It's fucking weird.
I already had a camera pointing at the bed before even thinking of this response video, so I guess it's just out of convenience.
Yeah, and the one thing that we saw a lot that none of us liked, but especially Bonnie, was the way they were trying to humiliate and degrade the men from the 1057. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, trust me.
I mean, if you're one of the guys that were at that 1057, you're fucking weird, dude. I'm sorry. If one of those 1000 watches my video and it's like, oh no, King Jiffy Coats calls one guy in the fucking giant slam train of cum goblins a weirdo, my bad, dude. But like, I'm not getting in that line, dog. Like, I don't think that's I'm not gliding it on my cum falcon to be like, I'm gonna fuck her pussy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pay her to fuck her pussy. Weird, dude. Weird.
Yeah, those guys already did a good enough job degrading and humiliating themselves. That is not something to be proud of. And I can't imagine this being a story they're going to tell their kids one day.
Dad, tell me a story.
Well, sport, I was there that day when the notorious Bonnie Blue challenged 1,000 wieners to battle against her mighty, monstrous beefcake. Many fell that day, but I was the last man standing.
Dad, that's kind of gross.
I have many curable diseases.
Like, genuinely, stop sitting on your sofa, scrolling on TikTok, scrolling online, judging people you have.
Yo, bro, stop laying on your back. Stop sitting in a bed doing a podcast. Stop letting 1,000 dicks. We can criticize you all day too, bro. Like, what are you painting everybody as incels because they're over here on their phone and not being a fucking cloud goblin? What the fuck are you talking about?
Have never met, and you never know what they're going through.
No.
I would say...
Yeah, dude, I'm never gonna know what you're going through because I'm not gonna willfully let 1,000 dudes come in my asshole. Sorry, man. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna make a hard line that's not what I'm gonna cross. I just don't see the joy in it, to be honest. It just seems like sex Olympics at that point, and it doesn't seem fun. It seems like it takes the pleasure out of something that is very pleasurable.
99% of the men that I've met from your lines, queues, whatever you want to call it, they're lovely. Like, they're kind people.
Bro, it's like queues, bro. They're spawning into fucking Shipment, bro. But Shipment's just her pussy, dude. She's got fucking those giant shipping containers in there, and the dick's just flying around trying to get enough kills to drop a nuke.
Some of them are going through some hard times, and they tell me, away from everyone, how this has made their day. This is going to make their life. Some of them are quite lonely.
So basically,
yeah, dude. Let's this was all. This was sympathy. This is emotional manipulation. That's all it was. Oh well, we got criticism. So let's use some emotional manipulation where you can't criticize us. It's like, dude, you put this shit out for the internet to see. You're going to get criticized. I don't know how many times I have to say this over my entire career of being on the internet, but I am going to get criticized. Everyone's going to get criticized. That's how this shit works.
And these sad, lonely, depressed men on the street and asked if they want to be inside a Virginia that 1,000 other men have explored. Yeah, something about that doesn't seem like it would cure my depression. That actually sounds like an awful time to have.
Dude, I mean, I feel like I would be more sad after that. Like, let's say I watch this chick on OnlyFans, right? Let's say I'm, like, the biggest donor or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, finally, I've been fucking waiting for this moment. I'm gonna sex her up. And I get there, and it's just like a giant lobby, bro, where people are just standing there. They're calling me a pussy. Some guy uses the gamer word. I'm sitting there like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? I get in there, I get amped, we do our thing, and then I leave, and I gotta, I'm like buttoning up my pants, I'm holding a shoe, I'm walking out, and there's like 37 other guys out there still waiting to get their turn. I don't know, dude, I'm gonna feel mad gross, I'm gonna feel grimy. I don't know if a shower will be able to take that off of me. And this isn't like an attack on her, this is how I would feel. I'd feel like a used slut as well, dude. It's grimy. It's like walking into a house and like you just, or like an apartment. You ever get an apartment and you go to put your bed up against the wall, and there's that one booger that's just been wiped on the wall, and you just feel gross. You feel like the entire room's contaminated and you need to clean the whole bitch.
For my depression, that actually sounds like an awful time to have.
I guess the point is, no, I am not pregnant. Yes, I have hinted at it. And the reason being is I'm going to use the media attention and the extra income I have had over the last few days because I want to pay for somebody's IVF journey.
Respect to you, Bonnie, for offering to help another woman/couple on their IVF journey. I think it's a lovely idea. That's really nice of you to help someone with IVF. I admire your strength and generosity. The criticism you receive is unfair. What truly inspires me is your desire to help women struggling with infertility. Many people wouldn't think about giving back, especially in such a meaningful way. Your experiences make this mission...
Bro, this is the only reason she's doing this is because she got the pushback. People got pissed, so she's like, how do I look like the good guy? How do I look like the good guy? How do I look like the good guy? I'll just offer that I'll pay for something. I'll throw money at the problem. That'll fix it. I'll be able to dodge all the bullets. Which one should I do? Well, pregnancy. Some people can't get pregnant. I'll fucking pay some idiot to pay for their bullshit, and then I'm the good guy now. I'm not a clout goblin.
Even more powerful. This is the first time she's brought it up, and it was only after people called her out for her lies. Am I going fucking insane? Please don't let hate messages overshadow the good you are doing. You are not only strong, but also kind, and the world needs more people like you. No we do not. This woman sucks, times 1,000. People in this day and age want to spread negativity and hate about everything that goes on around the world.
What the? Dude, this is like blatant manipulation. This is blatant audience manipulation, to like the nth gajillionth fucking degree, dude. And this is like when iDubbbz came out and said, like, he disavowed all of his old content. It was the most disingenuous thing ever, and everybody's like, oh, dude, it's so brave of him to come out and say that he's sorry for the content he made, and a week later he fucking did a takedown on Froggy Fresh over bullshit. And I was like, iDubbbz hasn't changed. He's a fucking same clown he's always been. This bitch is the same clown she's always going to be. But this is what a lot of these people do. They emotionally manipulate. They make themselves the victim, and then they're like, well, but here's also I'm a victim. But I understand where the criticism is coming from, and you know what? I'm going to donate to this charity because I care. Oh, shut the fuck up. I hate this shit, dude. This is what like one of the biggest problems with society right now is you allow yourself to get empathetic to this type of shit, and you don't see it for what it is because you're clouded by empathy.
Guys, I know she lied about being pregnant, but she's using that extra money from this publicity stunt to help women pay for their IVF. Who's the real asshole now? Lying to get money from others, even if you use it for good, is still wrong. We are not about to normalize lying to people online for money, but it's okay because that money's going towards a good cause. That is a slippery fucking slope.
Oh, this is a very serious matter.
Jesus Christ, dude. This is the bitch we're taking seriously. This is she puts on come in me daddy voice. She puts on come in me daddy voice, and we're buying her emotional manipulation.
Is that better?
Yeah, now I'm bricked up. Let's carry on. Did a lot of hard things.
I'm bricked up. I got a boner. We're already in bed. We should take care of it. She's like, my vagina's still so sore from the 1,000 guys. You don't understand. You could literally throw a bowling ball up there right now, and I wouldn't feel anything.
And people...
So many hard things.
The brick is back.
Kind of difficult to take you too
Dude,
serious.
and you know, the joke would be funny if he didn't look like he was actually bricked up and he was in a bed right now. See, here's the thing that's funny about like a fun sex joke, right? Is if it's like in the context of not being in a bedroom while making an apology for fucking up online. That's usually the best place for a sex joke is any other time other than that.
About helping those in need when you make multiple boner jokes. Yeah, so ever since what happened to my niece, we believe using our earnings to donate to St. Jude's would be really fulfilling. You know, those families just have it so hard. Boner!
And then suckity fuckity fuckity clippity clappity clippity clappity. I'm just gonna take your pussy and then you're gonna take my dick and then ha, dude. But we're donating to a children's hospital.
What were we talking about?
She has the position of influence. She has a position of making money. Because of that, she can now be in a position where she can help people.
That's fine and all, but how about maybe do that without lying to a mass audience?
Yeah.
Using it as a crutch. What were we talking about?
She has...
That's fine and all, but how about...
yeah, dude. It's like, why didn't you do this before? Why it's always funny. I always love when people come to this like agreement that these people are good now when it took them getting in trouble and getting called out in order to do the good. It is just blatant emotional manipulation, and the fact that people just give it a pass all the time is so fucking annoying.
About maybe do that without lying to a mass audience? I guarantee you that's very possible.
What you're doing is done by so many, and on a much worse scale than you. They do things they shouldn't do.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, like, just because I'm doing this, I still want to bonk. Barely legals, barely breathing.
What the fuck? The barely legal thing is weird, but what in the actual hell is barely breathing? Like, if you fuck him, are you on the verge of necrophilia? You can play it off as, LOL, aren't I just so crazy? But I'm actually kind of concerned now. Or maybe she meant the elderly, hopefully. Either way, ew.
When I see the hate online, and I see you guys that are hating comment, I just feel sorry for you, because you're clearly in a position of negativity. To sit there and watch something.
Dude, this is another thing that you'll see as a feature of all these apology videos. First, it is I am the victim. Second, it is emotional manipulation / throw money at a charity to make yourself look like the good guy, which is part of emotional manipulation. The last is I feel bad for you. You guys were always the problem. You're the villain. We're the victim, and we're also the better people. I hate this, dude. It's just so gross. It's just blatant manipulation. It's such bad. It's so fucking disgusting. It's so gross how you can just look at it and be like, Yeah, but you guys are some big fucking gross dum-dum heads. You're all fucking retarded little spurg monsters. You little cum falcon pieces of fucking hemorrhoid hurricanes. Just shut the fuck up, you little pussies. But remember, we're the victims here. And we're gonna donate to charity. But yeah, shut up, you fucking menstruation tsunami, you fucking clowns. Victim. Charity.
So if you hate someone, just don't watch it. Like if I don't want to see someone's content, I don't follow them, right?
I really despise this brain dead logic. The comment section is for positive and negative comments. Just because someone calls you out doesn't mean they hate their lives and they're just mad all the time. Sometimes people do stupid shit and it's fun to rant about. People are also worth being called out, which is exactly what you're doing to people in this video.
And sometimes people don't even hate you. They just love drama and chaos online, like me. I like chaos and drama online. It's very good time. I watch this slut get fucked and then I make fun of her.
My inbox from that was full of women like, you're vile, you're disgusting, like I hope you're donating your eggs and doing something worthwhile, like you should get assassinated.
Haven't seen this tactic in a while. Bringing up death threats you received to take the heat off you. Yeah, don't really care. I've gotten these before, so have many other channels, and using it as a crutch doesn't work, nor should
I'm a small channel. I haven't gotten the death threats, but I have gotten people just getting mad at me and stuff. Like, I've had people say that, like Destiny, when I covered Destiny, where I just literally listened and then put in my own input here and there, made a couple jokes where people are like, well, Destiny should sue you. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, I've had people attack me. I've had people come into my Discord and then cause a bunch of shit just because I had the audacity to call out somebody like Hassan. And you know, it's just one of those funny things that, like, even when people say the worst stuff, what you do is you let it roll off your shoulder. You enjoy your life. And I know I've used this example in the past. It's not that I really like care about it that much. I know people are like, oh, he fucking cares so much, living in his brain rent free. But it's like contextual. I'm contextualizing, you fucking morons. And when you contextualize this, it's like, you take this shit way too serious. When you get it, you look at it, you like it, you comment back to push your video for more engagement, you move on with your day. Sometimes you put a smiley face, sometimes you argue with them because you know they'll spurg out and put 87 comments and it'll push your shit in the algorithm more. It's just how I don't use it. I don't think about it as anything else other than pushing my engagement. Whether they're attacking me or getting mad at me or telling me I'm the most vile piece of shit in the world, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just gonna farm you for comments. Every once in a while I'll get an actual critique that I will internalize and then utilize. But most of the time I just look at it, have fun with it. I'm not gonna be the victim about it. Who fucking cares, dude?
We all know death threats are stupid. Stop trying to put the spotlight on something else.
How are you deciding who you pay for their IVF?
I actually don't really know.
Well, I'm glad to know she's taking this seriously. Bonnie then claims she'll probably just pick whatever message she likes the best, so it's all just fucking random, which gives me the impression she thought of this out of the blue to cover up her lying about being pregnant. Anyways.
And here's another thing. Yeah, how do you even know if she's gonna do it? Now, if she doesn't do it, she'll be called a scammer or whatever, and she'll go further down the rabbit hole of being, like, criticized. But, like, you're gonna pick the best message? The fuck are we talking about here? This is like that other chick, that Lily Phillips chick, where she was like, well, how did you vet the guys? Well, we sort of vetted them at first, but then we needed the number of guys, so we just started fucking pulling homeless people up off the street, and we would just kind of, like, take a flashlight to their dick, and if there wasn't anything crawling on it, we let it in. Now, that's a joke. That's called humor, you fucking monsters. I'm not actually saying she did that. But it's just, this is how you know it's just manipulation. This is all blatant manipulation. And if you think that she's being genuine in even the slightest, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't ever pay for the money. Now, I'm not saying she's not going to, but come on, the first nice message without actually verifying it, come on.
So that's the end of the video. Wait, what the hell? Lily Phillips, the woman who slept with 100 men in 24 hours, announces she is pregnant. Oh my god, there's 2 of them.
Oh my god, dude, she's pregnant, bro? She's gonna have most critical swabbing dudes, dude. Alright, I'm gonna need the next guy to step up. Oh, looks like you're not the daddy. Let's go, baby. No child support for you. This is fucking awesome, dude. The world we live in, dude. The world we live in. I remember when, I can't remember who it was. If it was Lana Rhodes or And it wasn't Mia Khalifa. It was like Lana Rhodes, Scarlett Gray, or Shasta Gray. Or, there's a billion porn stars, but I remember they were like sitting at a table talking about one of them being pregnant, and it was on iFunny. This is back when iFunny existed, and all the memes were just like a guy shooting through a slide, and it was like the baby, and she talked about how disgusting it was that they made that joke, and it's like, yeah, it's the internet, dude. That's how the internet works. If you think the internet's just going to change because you want it to, that's just not reality. That's all I got for that one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Now, I know I cover this man a lot. I do cover him a lot, but I don't hate him. I dislike him vehemently. I think he is a disgusting individual, and I don't like that he is not considered the way he should be. And this is something that I think a lot of people tend to give him a lot of like length and a lot of credit that, oh, well, he's not that bad. And of course, we're talking about Hassan Piker. He should be considered like what he is, the Nick Fuentes of the left. I don't hate Nick Fuentes. I don't hate anybody. I try not to hate anybody. I try to be like a pretty solid individual. I might say I hate somebody, but I don't actually hate you. I don't have time for hate. These are internet personalities. I've never met them in person. I don't know them personally. I have no actual logical reason to hate them. I don't like them. I don't like Nick Fuentes. I think he's a clown. I think Hassan's a clown. And I think there needs to be a realization that there is this thing called the political pipeline. And if you end up in Nick Fuentes, you've gone too fucking far. If you end up at Hassan Piker, you've gone too fucking far. And then there's all the cronies that it lists along the way. Like Nick Fuentes got his Baked Alaska and Ethan Ralph, and then your Hassan's got your Frogan, the old and then Vosh is in that same category, and you got these clowns over here that are extreme leftists, extreme right wing, and if you end up at these points, you have taken the wrong train. You've gone too far, and the fact that the people on the left aren't looked at when, oh, you can like be a big bomb evil group supporter. If you say the T word in the first minute of the video, you get in trouble. But you can be one of those T-word supporters, right? And then all of a sudden you're getting to be on anime podcasts and everybody's your friend. I think it's gross. I think I saw that he was on the Trash Taste where he was like talking about like being like the Blue Lock being like homosexual or something. And I was like, why is people pretending like Hassan isn't a bad guy? Like, why are we pretending that he isn't like a vicious political person when he is? But that's kind of what this video is going to talk about. I know a little bit about this from like clips on, I saw like a 3-second clip from like Trash Taste on Twitter, and I'm like, ugh, Hassan, not a good look. Now, I'm not saying you can't work with these people, but you should expect backlash if you have these people on. If I were to have Hassan on my stream to talk to him, even if I wasn't talking about politics, I know he is a contentious individual that I will get backlash for having on. It's the same thing if I were to have Nick Fuentes on. I would expect that backlash, and it would be well deserved, especially if I just glazed him, or Hassan or Nick Fuentes. If I glazed them, I would be open to criticism.
So on February 21st, Hassan was on the Trash Taste podcast, and there's a flood of backlash in the comment section about Trash Taste having this dude on their show. Hassan is aware of the backlash, and he does not seem happy, making a number of responses addressing it. So let's take a look at all this stuff and let me know what you think. First off, some analytics. The video currently has 293,250 views, with 15,566 dislikes, giving it a 49% dislike ratio. And this is
which to be honest, anytime I've done a video on Hassan, I actually end up at about this ratio, or it's either I got a few more likes or I got a few more dislikes. It's usually because Hassan has a very big audience, and I think that's where a lot of this poll comes from. And I can understand why a podcast would want him on, but I do think you also have to understand what type of door you're opening and what you're inviting in. And I'm not saying you can't platform people. I'm never going to be the guy where you can't have somebody on, right? I think that anytime you're talking out against free speech, that's wrong. But you got to know that the criticism's coming when you're having somebody that's this controversial.
This is after Hassan directed his viewers to essentially combat what he's calling the brigading. So presumably before he did that, this was an even worse ratio. I'll show you the clip where he does issue that statement. Once again, we'll go over all that stuff, and these analytics are provided by Jabrek.net. First, a brief clip of the podcast itself. Just seems fitting to play at least like, short portion of that. Then we'll take a look at some of the comments so you can get some more of the context.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Trash Taste. I'm joined once again by the boys, and we have a returning guest because you're back in Japan now.
Hell yeah, I'm here permanently now. I've decided. This time it's for real.
Yeah, for real.
Well, looks like Japan's got themselves a new Nepo socialist. There you go, dude. You got the king of nepotism over there in Japan. So you guys are big up in the world. We're gonna see some big moves in anime. It's gonna be like just all angry about Trump. So that's good, I guess. We got the guys that pretend that anime doesn't have any political messaging behind it. Now we'll have political messaging behind it. So that's good.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, now that my country's on fire, I chose Japan to just stay here.
All right.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, we got Hassan. He's back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no politics. Sorry.
Yeah.
No politics. All right. I don't.
Yeah, dude, did you see how uncomfortable they all got when he brought up the politics? Like here's the thing, it's tough to have these like political guys on and them not talk about politics. If you see somebody that's like constantly political, I mean, I try to, when I go on to somebody that other people's show, or I have a certain opinion, I will talk to them previously and say, do you not want me to cover this? Do you want me to do this or whatever? And I've had it in the past where I have said some of the stuff and they've cut some of the stuff I've said, and that's absolutely fine because it's their show at the end of the day. But again, yeah, you kind of invited the biggest fucking political streamer, psycho political streamer out there onto your show. Why wouldn't he talk about it? He's going to slip a few in.
Well, actually,
I love how they can't get 30 seconds into the episode without this dude bringing politics up. Seriously, 30 seconds. Anyways, taking a look at the top comments, we've got, I'd prefer my anime discussion not to involve a guy who celebrated the death of innocent civilians in no less than 2 different recent modern conflicts.
And let's keep in mind, the day this podcast came out, he was doing the same thing on his live stream.
Carries water for authoritarian regimes and celebrates terrorists indiscriminately attacking civilian vessels at sea, abducting their crews, and who still stone women to death for not obeying their every command. Thanks. Another one saying, I've been a viewer of the Anime Man and Giga for more than a decade. As a female viewer, I am absolutely disgusted seeing 3 men, the biggest in the anime YouTube space, happily endorse an R-word apologist. I looked up to you guys when I was young. I thought you were different. I'm incredibly hurt and disappointed seeing this. And right below that comment, another one that reads, who thought having Hassan is a good idea? This isn't just a simple drama that can be ignored. That's like saying 9/11 is just drama, then proceed to have Bin Laden or Al-Qaeda members as guests to talk about their favorite video games.
Saying that he's not, that's a little bit of a stretch. The 9/11 and Bin Laden thing is a bit of a stretch. I don't think he's that bad. He is bad, don't get me wrong. What Hassan has said and what Hassan has put on his streams are pretty bad, but I don't think he's Al-Qaeda bad. Let's be honest.
Comments talk about how people are dropping Trash Taste over this collab. For example, this one saying, I've been here since the start. I'm done. Similarly, right below that, this one reading, Texan here. I can say with the absolute state of confidence that I can say for the rest of us here in this beautiful state, we have and will never tolerate terrorists and their sympathizers. We delete them. If he's your friend, be a good friend and have a seriously long talk with him about changing his ways or changing his name.
That's cringe. This is cringe. You're supposed to sit him down, say your opinions are wrong, have right think. I hate when Hassan does this, and I don't like that this guy's doing that. There is no right think. I mean, yes, are his positions vehemently bad? Absolutely. And I could, if he asked to be on my show, and I was like, listen, dude, I don't get into political, if I didn't get into the political realm at all, I didn't touch my fucking tippy fucking toe, I didn't put the tip of my penis anywhere near the political realm, and I was just like, I do an anime channel, I do a gaming channel, I don't want you in here because I don't want to deal with the stuff you've said. We don't have that overlap. I don't think it's a good overlap. I don't think it's going to be good for my channel. That's the type of conversation I think you could have, but to have this thing that it's like, oh, well, you need to coach him into your right think. It's just it's the same thing when Hassan said that you should take anybody who has capitalistic ideologies and put them in education camps.
Time listening to you, gentlemen, but this is the end of the road for me. I'll pray for your wisdom and discernment. Stay safe, boys. And right below that, another one reading, this is the last thing produced by Trash Taste that I will ever watch. More comments talking about dropping Trash Taste right below those. For example, this one also reading, been following both Joey and Giguk since 2015, but now I'm unsubscribing. Not gonna watch someone who endorses terrorism by hosting this guy. Once again, those comments.
And now you might think, well, should they be someone subscribing from them? Well, if you don't like that person and you don't like that they're like, if I had a show, right? If I had a podcast like Creepcast, if I was watching Creepcast and all of a sudden they had Nick Fuentes on or Hassan, I don't want to watch that. Like I'm not gonna want to watch that episode. Now, will I leave them forever because they associate with somebody I don't like? I don't think so. I don't think I would go to that vehemently of a thing. I think that we should be in the realm of, oh, well, some people like people that I don't like. That happens. It's an understandable thing to have. But I do understand where there is going to be a lot of people that think it's disgusting that you associate with somebody that extreme, and that comes with extremism. When you have somebody that's extremist on your thing, you are going to get an extreme reaction from people.
These were just some of the comments that you can find by sorting by top comments. And it seems like there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of comments where people share similar sentiment. Interestingly enough, the pinned comment is from Trash Taste, and they say, "We don't and have never deleted comments on any episodes." And this is because a number of people have been accusing them of deleting comments that are critical of a song.
There is something that I have to say about this. YouTube will hide a lot of comments. I've had times where I have seen the comment and I've had to like unhide it and like go through steps to make sure that comment's unhid. It'll put it in this for review category, and if you don't check that for review that often, and it's like kind of out of the way to get to this for review section, you will see that there a lot of comments get hid by the YouTube algorithm in general.
For example, this tweet that reads, "Trash Taste is getting heat for having Hassan Piker on the podcast," and then deleting comments critical of him. Included are screenshots, and we'll take a look at these real quick. This one reading, "Sad to see they had to delete so many comments. I like Trash Taste, but this is very disappointing. Insecure much?" The second screenshot reading, "Deleting all the comments hating on Hassan is wild though." And the next screenshot reading,
"This is so funny though, if they are deleting comments that are critical of Hassan, if what would be funny now, this is conspiracy brain, like, listen, the turn of the freaking frog's gay. What if Hassan Piker's sitting there, he's sitting there and he gets really angry and he texts over Trash Taste, he's like, you better get these comments deleted, and then they delete the comments? Well, that doesn't look really good when he would delete the comments for Ethan Klein." I went full Alex Jones for you guys. You're welcome. You can jerk off to that later. It was the best, Alex Jones. It was the greatest. Everyone knows. I don't say it. I don't say it's the greatest. But a lot of people tell me it's a really good Alex Jones voice. But like, here's the thing. Like, it would be funny if Hassan saw the comments, was mad about the comments, and then told them to remove the comments, and they did out of respect for him, and he didn't do it for Ethan Klein. That would be funny. That would be like a cherry on the tip of the vagina for me.
Funny how this comment section suddenly started glazing Hassan after ripping him apart. Don't think we didn't notice that the top comment got removed. That account making a follow-up tweet that reads, "Even the Trash Taste Reddit wasn't impressed." Going on to quote, "First time seeing a 50% like to dislike ratio on a Trash Taste episode. Now those comments are just gone? Is the person who manages the channel actually deleting them?" Taking a look at the provided screenshots, we can see there's actually a lot more to that comment. The full comment reading, "The first thing I did when this episode came out was scroll down to the comments. There were hundreds of them expressing the fact that they did not like having Hassan back. Some of them had almost 1,000 likes. Now those comments are just gone? Is the person who manages the channel actually deleting them? Please let this just be a YouTube glitch, because otherwise, wow, that would be low." As we already went over, Trash Taste made a very brief response denying that any comments were deleted. Still, it's very interesting that comments on both Reddit and YouTube claim that these deletions are indeed happening, even on the Trash Taste subreddit itself. And so, as always, come to your own conclusions. Speaking of the Trash Taste subreddit, let's hop over there and take a look. Specifically, this post that reads, "Seems like Hassan has brigaded his community to quote-unquote get in and actively counter the brigade." The comment section, and linking to a tweet that we'll take a look at next. As for the post itself, it got 563 upvotes before being locked by the moderators. with this mod leaving a pinned comment, a sticky comment rather, that says, for anyone reading this, if you are not interested in talking about the actual content of the Trash Taste podcast episode, please don't make comments. All you're doing is making our volunteering harder, where we'll just have to lock certain posts and remove posts as well. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help the situation. Well, this presents a very fun opportunity.
Well, and here's the thing I wanted to say about, like, Hassan's community. He has a very, 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 like, locked to him community. They are all their little hive mind. And if they see one person say one wrong thing, they will brigade you as hard as freaking possible, dude. They are one of the most vicious online communities out there, and that's not me saying they're bad people, because I don't think a lot of them are inherently bad, but I do think that when you have this weird like creator to fan interactions like Hassan does with a community like that, you do build a very toxic space to where whenever anybody criticizes them, they go fucking nutso banana mode. I mean, I've criticized like people like Ben Shapiro and who else? I don't know. I've criticized a bunch of different people, and I think the worst two reactions I've gotten were Hassan and Destiny, and they are some of the most have some of the most vehemently cult-like audiences I have ever seen. It's one of those things that's what happens when you have, like, you are an extremist, is, again, extremists attract other extremists. And what do extremists do? Nothing else other than be, like, terminally online and look for anything that might disagree with her opinion.
Let's take a look at some of the top comments on that.
Again, if you want to be mad at me for having that take and you want to comment it below and then be really mad about it, that's fine, dude. That's fine. I'm not ever upset that you have a different opinion than me. That is completely cool. I'm not going to be upset by it. It's not going to ruin my day. You are more than welcome to criticize me all you want. I'm just spitting facts right here.
That post that the mod apparently doesn't like. Well, at least ones that the mod or mods didn't yet remove. For example, this top response that talks about how pathetic it is to issue some kind of counter brigade, and how that's also a brigade. The next one reading, yeah, that'll solve the problem for sure. And this one saying, we wait for another Connor damage control short video, lol. Right below that, this comment reading, great, another creator telling his community to counteract the hate. Looks like this is going to be more than a 12-hour drama. Then there's this one that reads, of all the things he could have done to calm the flame, he just sends it into a blaze. This one's really funny because of how things played out. So this comment says, will the mods A, ban Hassan for brigading, B, delete this post, cue Jeopardy music. Turns out it was actually option C, lock the post and threaten to remove comments. Okay, with that context, let's hop over to the tweet that was linked in that post in the OP. That being this one that reads, Hassan Malds, while reading hate comments from his Trash Taste podcast episode, directs his audience to quote-unquote get in and actively counter the brigade. And here's the clip.
Mr. President, the second piker has hit the trash taste. Why would you do this, Hassan? Really? The terrorist endorser? Shame. Too bad. I get irritated from just seeing his face. The guy has said so many profoundly idiotic things that I honestly cannot listen to a word from him. The brigade is on, folks. Get in and actively counter the brigade. They botted the video immediately. Lol, is at 2.5k dislikes.
I mean, this is directing your audience to do shit. I mean, this is where I always tell people, like, don't go attack people. So you see somebody, if you're like a vehement member of my audience and you love everything I do, and you see somebody criticize me, do not go attack them. There's no point. I mean, if you want to put your opinion on there and you watched it and you watched the entire video and watched all the critiques of me, and then you want to counteract it and make on your own volition, that's fine. I don't care. I have no control over you. You are your own fucking sentient individual. But I am never going to tell you, oh, I don't like this person. I don't like the reaction this videos get. Go change that reaction. I want you to go make a difference, guys. I want you to brigade the shit out of this. That's cringe, dude. I don't like having a control over my audience to the point that I can say like mush dogs and then you guys
You really upset the weebs this time? Yeah.
That dude in chat trying to blame all the dislikes on some like dislike bot is just the icing on the cake. But wait, there's another clip to take a look at. This one that reads, Chatter tells Hassan he's out of touch, which he didn't appreciate.
because sometimes we'll stare into the darkness on this broadcast. Like, we'll look at like what they're saying, and they just can't comprehend how like journalists are still covering this guy in a positive way. What the f is going on? And it's like,
well, yeah, no, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. It's 100% glazing. You are an extremist, and I think that the like Fox News and them have I don't. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If they're still fucking platforming Nick Fuentes, let me know. But I'm pretty sure everyone's condemned Nick Fuentes. And I think the same should be treated on Hassan. He is an extremist. He has very extreme left-wing beliefs. So why the fuck is he not treated as such? That is my thing. Now, do I want him off the internet? No. Do I think he should get banned? No. Do I think that he's responsible for his chat and shit that's been a criticism? No. I think that his hypocrisy is constantly on display. I think a lot of things he says are absolutely disgusting, and I think he's an extremist. And I will stand on the position that I don't believe in people being deplatformed and attacking them because, oh well, I don't like their views, so they shouldn't have a platform. I really don't like that. I've never liked that, because the best way to combat this is by just people realizing, because there's a counter opinion to it, that he's a fucking insane, not insane, I don't know how crazy he is, but he's a fucking extremist. And then other people will say, look how extreme this take is compared to a more rational version of what this same problem has. Well, here's a more rational solution. There is going to be people that are more left, or like normal left wing, that aren't like as fucking far out there as him, or they might even be pretty far left wing, and they'll just say, I don't know, dude, I'm not big on what Hassan's doing. I think there's a better direction to go for, and that will combat this extremist speech. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, that's what happened to Nick Fuentes. I mean, well, that and he got kicked off the platform, but people still will look at Nick Fuentes as a fucking clown in right-wing media and right-wing YouTubers because he is a fucking clown. And Hassan should be treated as such. And I hate that the media holds so much water for this man when he said and showed so many disgusting traits, but they're still willing to call him like the Joe Rogan of the left when he is the Nick Fuentes of the left.
Dude, why do you think? You think like a 40-year-old journalist has no political convictions of their own? Like, you think they're going to be deluded by like a drama farmer on YouTube, like a slop tuber, and be like, wow, this is a real bad guy?
I do hate when he uses this argument like, oh, like he's above this somehow, when all he does is sit here and react and clip himself reacting and talking, and he's slop tubing. He's doing the same thing I'm fucking doing right now. Right now, he's doing the same thing, and except for sometimes he spends like 20 minutes eating a fucking chicken salad and not saying anything while terrorist propaganda plays in the background. He literally is doing the exact same thing as slop tubers, but because he is this political figure, he thinks he has risen above it, because he's not a drama guy. He's a political guy, which is brings you some sort of extra merit when that just means nothing. You're a political slop streamer, and that's all you are. That's all you should be, with your weird extremist takes.
You think they haven't seen internet harassment campaigns before? You are so out of touch, holy hell. No, brother, I'm not the one who's out of touch. The people that are going, we hate you because we think this person is an evil person, me, okay? We think your friend that you know better, okay, is actually secretly an evil person because we've seen YouTube videos from rabid haters, is an active line of attack.
Well, and to be like, if we're going to be extremely, and I'm talking extremely charitable to Hassan on a level that's just almost on the verge of brain damage, let's say every single one of those clips are taken out of context. Like, you have to compile an hour and 40-minute long video from somebody you used to do a podcast with, who sits very vehemently on the left side, to then compile it and even say the things, show the things that you said on the podcast, in context on the podcast with him, That to me is not all drama tubing anymore. That takes it in another thing. That goes, there is no charitable for that. Whether it's because you and Ethan had a bad fallout or not. I'm not the biggest Ethan Klein fan. I think what Ethan Klein did in the whole, I'm going to pull the ladder up behind me, I want YouTube to censor more, I hate that. I think it's gross. I think the fact that he grew doing all this edgy shit, and then once he got to the peak of YouTube, now he wants to pull the ladder up for everybody else. I think that's disgusting. But in the same regard, I can look at what he said and say, look, dude, he's putting you in context from your podcast and showing the grossness that you're saying. It's literally from the show you guys did together. You say drama tubing because you're throwing a blanket statement over it. That's taking out every single out all the other clips. That's just like you talking about putting people that are capitalistic in re-education camps. That's you covering up for the Uyghur genocide, and that's also you covering up for like. There was another one that was on the podcast. Anyways, moving back on to the actual point. It's like he puts you in context, on display from you guys' interactions to where it's like, how do you jump that to, oh well, fucking Nick DiOrio and Wooly Mac and fucking that stupid Turkey Tom guy. Look, they're just drama tubers. They're just farming clicks. Dude, that was your own homie, bro. Your own homie came out against you and put you on blast. It goes past that. And that's why that video was so powerful and so big and has had so much effect, is because it wasn't just a drama tuber who did it. Yes, he echoed a lot of the same sentiments that the drama tube, in the commentary community has levied against you. But at the same time, he added an extra context, which before you always said that context was missing. So that's even me being saying that all those other clips were out of context. And that's so fucking way more generous than I should be to Hassan, but with that generosity, he still looks like a fucking clown.
The assumption that you, as a random commentator, a random commenter online, is not out of touch, but I am, because what you expect in terms of like retaliation towards someone like myself is not matching the reality is hilarious.
I can't believe how perfect.
And this is fair retaliation. This is a way more fair retaliation, I think, is where you start to see a shift in the general consensus of how people are starting to feel about you, where they're starting to realize that that for a long time, all these different streamers and stuff had you on. You would go on, you're like, ha 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 ha, I'm Hassan. Look at me, I'm just one of the guys. And then you go to his stream where he's saying vile shit, and people are starting to realize that, wow, dude, maybe he's been extremist the whole time, which he fucking has. Dude straight up shoved Muslim genocide under the rug to cover up for the Communist Party, which I will harp down on again and again, because, like, I'm sorry, you can't be, oh, I'm always for the Muslim strife, but then pretend that it, then hide a genocide using Chinese propaganda. And you then have like the world starting to realize that, wow, dude, you kind of suck. And then once it starts noticing that, you're saying, well, no, you're the one out of touch. I'm doing just fine. Nothing's happening. Dude, why is Asmongold bigger than you now? Why are these things happening? Why are these changes starting to go against you? It's because the consensus is changing. You don't have that iron grip you used to, because people are starting to realize how crazy you fucking are. And wow, the world changed. You're not the giggity schmoodle anymore. You're a little fucking cum goblin. That's all you are.
That clip is. Dude's really trying to sound not out of touch by citing journalists. Like, oh, 40-year-old journalists support me. As if the opinion of some random journalists prove he's a morally good and not out of touch person. He doesn't even realize that the majority of people despise journalists and don't trust them. It's probably one of the most out of touch things he actually could have said to use for his argument of apparently not being out of touch. And lastly, there's this tweet that reads, Hassan denies his lolcow status, and in the clip he's actually still going on about the whole out of touch thing. So let's take a look.
I do think it's funny that whenever he gets these criticisms and stuff, he just like he just deflects. He is the king of deflecting. He never actually takes accountability. He never tries to understand any other direction. And a lot of people say that he's audience trapped, and kind of maybe I don't really think it's even that. I think he's sitting in this position that he doesn't think he has to answer to anyone, which, to be honest, you don't have to answer to anybody when you're your own boss and you're here, people are here to watch you. But he's got this ego narcissism problem going on where he thinks he's never wrong. And that's the problem with a lot of these political commentators, whether it's the right or left. They all have these egos on them like they're the most intelligent person in the room, fucking always.
You not understand that. Things will keep shocking you over and over again if you are so echo chambered and hug boxed that you genuinely believe that I am.
Okay, Hassan, you're the fucking king of echo chambers. You are the fucking god of echo chambers. You have Twitch sucking your little fucking wiener every fucking day, singing you happy birthday, while like taking down anybody who disagrees with you. They're not as egregious about it anymore, but they're still pretty egregious with their ban hammer on dissenting opinions. So you live in an echo box, buddy, or an echo chamber, buddy. Your audience is a fucking little cult of echo chamber land. So what are you talking about?
Am considered lolcow by anyone that is a normal human being who goes outside. Okay? That's the problem. You're like a 40-year-old dude on Twitch right now being like, you're the one who's out of touch, Hassan, because in spite of the fact that you are one of the most popular content creators on Twitch.
You know what the biggest thing that makes you a locale is by denying you're not a locale. When you're vehemently like you're getting called a locale, everybody's making all the channels that also make locale content are making content on you. That's when you know you're locale, and that's exactly what's happened to Hassan Biker. That's exactly what's going down. He is steadily heading toward that locale status, but I mean, just because you're a locale doesn't mean you have to be like a niche fucking weird person online. There is plenty of locales out there that have big audiences. I mean, look at Boogie2988. He had a massive following. Now he doesn't anymore because, like, again, he is a locale. But Hassan is kind of heading that way. He's no longer top dog. He's slowly descending. People are slowly starting to realize how extreme he is, and the more he gets in corners himself, the worse it's going to get for himself. And that's what I'm here for, because I'm not covering him because I want to cover politics. I'm covering him because I'm covering an internet personality. I'm here for drama. I'm here for fun. Anytime I cover any of these guys, it's here because I want to clown on them, because I like clowning on drama and fun and chaos in the world. I'm a chaos guy. I could live and breathe and like swim in the semen of chaos, and I love it.
I still think me and my homies think you're a bad guy. And the more you don't realize that other people don't see it the way that you do, the more you just make up conspiracies in your mind. You can say womp womp all day, but the real womp is happening to you, old man. Calm down.
Why does he keep using this whole like 40-year-old thing? Like, oh yes, the 40-year-old journalists support me. And then this time he's mad at the chatter saying he's like a 40-year-old dude on Twitch. But anyways, I think it's really funny that he's talking about conspiracy theories, but had nothing to say about conspiracy theories when there was this chatter saying like all the dislikes are just some like bots disliking the video. So when it's convenient for him, things are conspiracy theories, but when it's not convenient for him, they're not conspiracy theories apparently.
You know how to tell when Hassan's talking or saying a bunch of bullshit? His mouth is moving. Oh, dad joke. Suck my wiener.
And let me get this part straight. So his defense for being a good person is that journalists support him and that he's one of the most viewed people on Twitch. Is that really the argument that he's going with? The last thing we'll take a look at is this tweet that says, Hassan rallies the troops in his Twitter community. The screenshot provided reading, I don't think it's all organic trash taste fans, to be honest. I got lots of weirdos roaming the web recently. It's okay to correct the record, in my opinion. They get away with saying a lot of totally ridiculous things. Everyone is capable of making up their mind if they simply watch the stream. Yeah, people watch the stream and make up their own opinion, but when that...
Yeah, dude, well, this is the thing, too. It's like, oh, well, you have wrong think. You have wrong think. It's not organic. It's wrong think. It's weaponized opinions. When Hassan literally weaponized his audience and said, go fix it. Go fix it for me. Be little good simp cum goblins. I want you all to go in there, put as many likes, as many comments. We got to combat this. We got to combat this now. We got to make a change happen right now. But he's saying other people's are villain are coming at him and attacking it because he's there, and they're saying that they're weaponizing everything. It's like, dude, you're on camera utilizing your audience to go have the counter effect. Now, you could say, well, it doesn't seem like weaponizing. I mean, if it was a video he didn't like and he did the same thing, the same words, but on a video he didn't like to go berate him, that's weaponizing. So it's just weaponizing it in the same way. It's just a weapon in his mind for good this time. It's a weapon that's a benefit for these other people, but he's still weaponizing it.
That opinion's negative, then it's not organic, it's not authentic. That can't be right. It's got to be bots. It's got to be brigading. Anyways, let me know what you think about this whole Trash Taste Hassan situation. I believe that's the most important stuff that we went over. As always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my coverage, and if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see, this is the whole thing. I actually really agreed with almost everything in this video. I think the main thing that I try to be generous in the fact that I hate when people utilize the, well, he didn't like block the chat, or he didn't like police his chat for Ethan. That's a stupid argument. He shouldn't have to police his chat. You take like some of the things, oh well, these clips are out of context. It's like, yeah, dude, how many of these fucking clips? How many? And you look at, I feel kind of bad for the Trash Taste guys, but I also don't. It's like you took one of the most contentious people on the internet. You put them on your podcast, and you expected no one to say anything. Now, I'm sure they expected some pushback. I didn't think they probably didn't expect that much pushback. But the fact that people like his own old podcast host is out there just rallying against him right now. You have so many people that are just so done with him. He's been viciously put out misinformation for a very long time. It's just like you put somebody on that's that radical, and you're going to get a radical response. It's just plain and simple. It's just like if I were to go out to somebody and say fuck you, and they'd be like, well, fuck you. Radical begets radical, violence beget violence. It's just how it works. You go out there, you find somebody that they might be popular, but they're controversial. You're gonna get a controversial response. That's just how it works. It's how it works. And the fact that like they were worried about this. They started getting a little worried about this pushback. I mean, I again feel bad for them, but what do you expect? What do you expect? I'm not saying don't ever have the guy on again, but if this is the type of stuff you want to avoid, and I've heard that they have avoided associating with some people in order to not get pushback on them. Why would you go out of your way to work with Hassan? Like that's just kind of, he's one of the most contentious people on the internet, and I don't know, but I thought it was a good video. Again, Hero, I think he makes pretty solid content, even though I don't always 100% agree with his takes. I do think he makes good content, but I think that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.